Yeah, it's so frustrating watching it just as a fan. I mean, we know their track record. They demonstrated it again the other night, the way they played against the Lakers, and even in the loss against the Celtics, against the better teams. They come ready to play more often than not. And it's just sort of the run-of-the-mill, the average NBA games where they kind of just, just go through the motions, and it's just maddening. I mean, the difference in John Wall, like the other night, and then on an average night, is just unbelievable. The way he plays on both ends when he attacks he can't be stopped when he attacks the basket the way he has in some of these last few games.
No, there's no question. I mean, he was outstanding against the Lakers. That's the John Wall you want to see every night. If you're a Wizards fan, or if you're a Wizards player, if you're one of his teammates, if he's the leader of your team, you got to be able to know and kind of lean on a certain level of production and energy and performance out of John Wall. And he's had his injury issues to deal with. We all know that. And I think there's been this deal for him where he's a talent on the level of the very best players in the league at his position, but he doesn't get that kind of respect. And I think that's something that maybe bothers him, and it keeps him searching, trying to figure out why he's not held in that same regard. But if you're talking about winning and winning big, you got to have your leaders in a comfort zone and in a position where they're bringing up the performance of everybody else around him. And to me, that's where John has to take that next step. He's got to make that seventh, eighth, or ninth guy on the team a better player because of his presence and the way he operates on the floor.
And there's something there when you talk about chemistry where last year when he was out, all of a sudden the assist numbers went up. And John's one of the best assist guys in the game, when you look at his personal stats. But the team stats, all of a sudden they go up. And I know the first game that they had a 35 assist chemistry-wise. Now they end up trade. I don't know if chemistry. I just feel like they probably thought they couldn't Oubre eventually, and they moved him for Trevor Ariza. To me, it feels like a lateral move. Like it's not going to change much with the Wizards. What's your take on it?
I disagree. I'm a big Trevor Ariza fan.
Okay.
And one of the reasons is I watched him last year in Houston, and I watched. I had Houston last year from the first game of the playoffs till that Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals when they lost. So I was a Texan basically, for the first 2.5 months of the playoffs. Trevor Ariza brings a sense of ease in a locker room because of his presence in the way he operates, the professionalism, the doing it on both ends every night out there, the consummate pro. He adds an element to your locker room that might not otherwise be there. And if you don't believe it, look at Houston's struggles without him. Everybody thought, we can get somebody who can do what Trevor Ariza does. It's like it's not just about the raw numbers sometimes. Sometimes it's about the presence you have, the vibe you kind of send out as a veteran leader on a team that allows everything else to fall into place. I wish they'd have had Ariza from the start of the season. Then we might be looking at a different season for the Wizards. And I'm not trying to heap too much on his plate as a player, but I'm telling you, veteran leadership in the NBA is undervalued in ways that I don't think the average person can understand. You look at teams and kind of compute, why does this team work? Why does this group work together? And I look at guys like Ariza and Andre Iguodala and Al Horford and think to myself, you need one of those types of guys in your locker room and in your mix as a team just to add that element of ease for everybody else to know that you got a grown-up in the room, basically.
Well, kind of in the same similar sort of way, we experienced that when we had Paul Pierce that year, right?
Yes.
That veteran.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's when they had their most
and
success.
you had an elite level of you had a Finals MVP version of that veteran you need in your locker room. We all know how good the Wizards were and that edge that he brought and that calm that he gave those younger guys when John Wall and Bradley Beal were younger but just as talented. That made a huge difference.
But here's what's frustrating, I think, for us as fans is, I think we all appreciate Trevor Ariza when he can bring to a team, but we feel like, man, Kelly Oubre, he's a player on the rise. We had to have been able to have done more, though, sort of long-term. Like just renting Ariza for this year, it seems like we just got the worst of this deal. Couldn't they have done better for an asset like Oubre, who's so young and so talented and still improving?
I don't know if you could have and why try to get it out. There was simply going to be no money to spend on what Kelly Oubre might command on the free agent market. So you're compounding some other questionable decisions with perhaps another bad one, by letting Oubre go. If he goes somewhere else and ends up reaching his full potential, you're going to wish you had him. But those are the hard decisions you have to make as an NBA front office. When the salary spike a few summers ago twisted the world upside down, teams have been dealing with that fallout ever since. And some guys who you wouldn't want to have paid the kind of money you did are walking around with those nice big contracts, and it's costing you on the other end if you're one of these teams like the Wizards.